All right, KW Milwaukee, good morning. I hope everybody enjoyed their snow day last week, Tuesday, and even into this past Sunday. I woke up Tuesday morning and I saw all the schools were canceled, and I was like, man, everybody deserves a snow day every once in a while. So I hope you were able to enjoy it with your families, get out in the snow, hang out. I know a bunch of us were shoveling our houses and cars and everything out on, especially Sunday. But welcome to Tuesday morning, and we are going to jump right into it. I just want a quick few reminders for you because it's amazing to me still how many people ask these questions. So I want to make sure that we're touching on some important topics for you as it relates to your income and 1099s and deductions for your taxes for 2020. Okay. So last week, I know we received ours in the mail on Friday, I believe. Your 1099 taxes for your commissions that you were earned came in on Friday of last week at our house. It may have came Monday, Saturday of last week, but just know, be on the lookout in your mail for your 1099 and your commission income. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Jen or Emily on that. Next up, as it relates to profit share, many of you, if not all of you, should have received an email stating and notifying you that your profit share information, 1099 as it relates to profit share income, is available electronically. It was also mailed to you in the mail, so be on the lookout for that. I know, just again, speaking anecdotally from our household, we received our profit share 1099 in the mail last week. So be on the lookout for that. And if you can't find it in the mail, know that you can access your profit share 1099 electronically by going to my KW Resources profit share 1099s. Cool. And then lastly, one last thing, deductions. So there were 3 important reports that were placed in everybody's Market Center mailboxes across all 3 locations last week. One was your closed DA report. One was your associate expense report. So this was the itemized deductions with all things related to your agent invoice. And then your deductions report as it relates to the 295 BAC fees on listings, transaction management, launch program, file fines, anything like that from a deduction standpoint. All of those reports were provided to you in your Market Center mailboxes at all 3 locations. So any questions, again, reach out to Jen or Emily. Awesome. All right. Now this morning, we have a guest speaker on. He comes on every once in a while. We super appreciate his insight, but I've asked Brian Clute from Fairway Mortgage to jump on to give us an insight as to what he's seeing in the mortgage industry, how he's advising buyers as we begin 2021. So Brian, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Charlie. Hey, everybody. Happy Groundhog's Day, right? What's the deal? Do the groundhog, if they see their shadow, is it 6 more? I don't remember what that is. But anyway, I know January's over and Groundhog's Day is here. So that's a great thing. So let's jump to the next slide, Charlie. So wanted to give you guys just a quick snapshot. Mortgage rates have stayed pretty flat. I mean, to think about the fact that we're at 2.7% is just mind-boggling, for those of us who have been in the business 23 years, which is also mind-boggling. I remember the days when rates went under 7% for the first time, and everybody in the industry said, Brian, that's the last time you're ever going to see mortgage rates under 7%. And I think we went up a little bit, came down, and never went back. But just real quick, the projections by Realtor.com and National, the chief economist at Freddie Mac have all pretty much said, we're going to drift higher. We're going to see the rates stay in this sub 3% range for the foreseeable future, probably through the first half of the year. And then heading into Q3 and Q4, I think we all know that with the government printing as much money as they are, inflation starts to rear its ugly head. So we're going to see rates drift a little bit higher. So I just wanted to give you guys this slide. I thought this would be beneficial to show any prospective buyers out there to say, if you bought a house today for 300 grand and you borrowed money at 2.7%, if you wait until Q4 of 2021, Realtor.com is saying, hey, we're going to see likely home appreciation at the rate of about 5.7%. So that same house that you buy today is going to cost you $17,000 extra by the end of Q4. And oh, by the way, the interest rate itself is going to go up. So your monthly payment's going to go up a couple $100 a month. So I think it's just always one of those good things to keep in mind when you're talking to your buyers. But, I thought about today and I thought about like a lot of the information that I've been bringing to you guys over the last couple of years has been all about how to get buyers off the fence. Like there's never been a better time to buy. But what occurs to me is that that's not exactly the biggest issue that we're facing today, right? You know, the big issue, and you guys live in this space a lot more than I do, but I can tell based on talking to buyers that, you know, I'm hearing people saying, I lost out on offer after offer after offer after offer. And a lot of times they've come from other banks. And so I thought, you know, I put on my realtor hat and I said, you know, given that I live in this mortgage financing world, if I were in the real estate world and I were talking to my advisor, if I were talking to my buyers and giving them advice, here's what I would share with them. So let's jump on to the next slide. So I would say this, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, one of the key strategies for 2021 is this. You guys know it's a competitive market. We have to have the optimal pre-approval strategy. So let's jump to the next slide, please. And I've said this for years and years and years, and I think you guys can all attest to this. When a consumer, when we go out and buy anything, in the absence of clear value, we as consumers typically make decision on what? Price, right? If I don't see what the perceived value is, if I don't know the right questions to ask, I'm typically going to say, well, I'm going to go on price or based on somebody else's recommendation. But, you know, we all know in this world that buying based on price might actually be the worst strategy at play. So let's jump to the next slide. And, you know, I think that one of the things that I've shared with my sales reps over the year, and as you guys may or may not know, I do some coaching inside of the sales arena as well. And I said, you know, one of the biggest differentiators that you can ever provide in terms of value to your customer or a customer that you're trying to win over is solving problems. But the best way to solve a problem for somebody is to show your consumer, show your prospect that there are going to be problems that exist in your journey that they're not aware of. In other words, we're uncovering problems that they're going to face that they don't know are problems. And then, of course, the next piece of that puzzle is we've got to then provide the solutions to that problem. Next slide, please. So, you know, as I'm sitting down and I'm wearing my realtor hat, I'm asking you know, as I'm showing, as I'm counseling my buyers and I'm saying, you know, let's think about drafting this offer. You know, what is the seller going to look for? Well, you know, the buyer's going to say, all right, they're going to be looking for the price. You're probably going to add in, you know, what type of contingencies do you have? Do you have a home sale contingency? If so, it's probably going to be a challenge. But do they know that the length of the financing contingencies can have an adverse effect? And the other thing I think that I hear a lot from talking to buyers and counseling them is this. What they don't know is that when a seller and a listing agent is looking at multiple offers, they're asking the question, you know, after they look at price, after they look at contingencies, they're asking the question, how difficult is this transaction going to be? Because I'm busy and I don't want to be having to manage other people's problems. And the second thing is, how likely is it that they're going to actually get to the closing table? Next slide, please. So this one is a key. And again, if there's one thing that I would say, if I were a realtor and I were talking to my clients, I would say this, Mr. and Mrs. Buyers, it's not the importance of the relationship that you have with your lender. It's the reputation that the real estate community has with that lender. I'll say that again. It's not the importance of the relationship that you've got with your lender. It's how does the real estate industry, specifically the listing agent, see that lender. You might know, like, and trust Uncle Billy, who works at ABC Mortgage Company, but what does the listing agent, what does the real estate community think about Uncle Billy at ABC Mortgage? Next slide, please. And so this is what I hear these stories from you guys all the time. You guys, I'm not sure if all of you are old enough to remember The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Clint Eastwood, wah, 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 right? Like, okay, I won't continue to sing the song, but you guys know this. There are good lenders, there are bad lenders, there are ugly lenders. And, you know, my advice here is make sure that you tell the stories. And, I think we all have to look at this and realize that we don't want to be critical of ABC Mortgage or whatever lender is out there, but isn't it our responsibility to tell the stories of the experiences that we've had and just letting them know, look, if you work with the bad or you work with the ugly, just know you could have the best price in town, but it's got to go to the end of the line because it's going to be perceived as the bad or the ugly. And then at the same time, tell the stories of the good. And, I know we don't work with everybody. We'd love the opportunity to work with you if we don't, but I've heard enough stories about the fact that Fairway's reputation in many, many cases, because the buyer's agent has shared that experience with their buyers, that it makes it easier to get to the closing table. We've got the shorter contingencies, and the reputation and the phone calls from the listing agent saying, we accepted your offer in due or in great part or some degree because we knew that the transaction was going to go smoothly. Guys, they need to hear the stories, and you need to be the storyteller. And we all know this, stories sell. Next slide, please. A couple of the key questions that, when a buyer's going out to shop the lender, again, we've already talked about one of the key questions that they should be asking you as the agent is, hey, what is the reputation of the lender that I've come to the table with the pre-approval? A couple other questions that you can provide them to arm them when we're having these conversations. How many days is this lender going to require to issue loan commitment? I'm hearing 45 days. I'm hearing 60 days. You guys know that that's going to hurt the deal. How many days are they going to require for closing? It's been a while since I've heard anybody talk about, the length of time. But again, I'm hearing lenders say 60 days. Guys, we're still in the world where a 30-day closing is easy for us. We're still in the world that we can get 21-day loan commitments. When push comes to shove in terms of, I know there's a lot of you asking the question, well, what about that appraisal? Well, we've got a pool of local appraisers, and we've got the ability pretty much at any given time to put the call in and say, look, we need an appraisal in short order. So let's accelerate this and make it happen. So just know 30 days for us for closing is very comfortable. 21-day financing contingencies is very comfortable. But again, your buyers don't know necessarily how impactful that's going to be. And your part of your objective is, how do we get them to the front of the line, right? Next question, please. Or next slide, please. Last but not least, how many of you, I can't see all your hands, but how many of you have seen The Wizard of Oz? You guys remember the part in the movie at the end where the Wizard of Oz comes out and he opens up the curtain and they're like, seriously? Like this is the mighty wizard? Well, one of the things that lenders in the world are doing today is they're taking advantage of the fact that buyers don't know the right questions to ask. And as we talked earlier, in the absence of value, the consumers are looking for price. So not to pick on Quicken Loans, but they make it pretty easy. And my guess is that, you guys see them quite often. If you go, this is their website yesterday. And if you look at this website, and I asked every single one of you within 5 seconds to tell me what their interest rate is on a 30-year fixed loan, I think you'd all say the same thing. You'd say it's 2.99% with an APR of 3.13. But let's go into the Wizard of Oz world and let's peel that curtain back. Next slide, please. Because there's this little disclaimer at the bottom of this page that says on a 30-year fixed loan, and I'll skip to the highlighted part, to get that rate, the borrower needs to pay 1.75 points at closing. And for those of you who are unaware of how points work, it's basically you as a buyer are paying upfront money. In this case, 1 point equals 1% of the loan amount. So if you're borrowing 300 grand, it's $3,000. So to get that rate, you're having to pay 1.75 points at closing. Again, eloquently confuse the competition, or in this case, the consumer, and that's how they win. Next slide, please. What we like to do at Fairway is we like to peel the curtain back. And so every time we sit down with a buyer, we ask the question, have you ever seen rates out there that look too good to be true? Have you heard of other lenders that are quoting these rates? Well, let me show you how this works. And so this is an example again of pricing yesterday. And what you guys see, and I won't get into the boring details on it, but on the far left-hand column, you can see that there are interest rates that are ranging anywhere from 2.375 all the way up to 2.99%. And then the corresponding column, 2 or 3 notches over, is showing the consumer, this is the amount of points or additional monies that you'd have to pay. So our philosophy at Fairway is this: our consumers are smart enough to make the decision as to whether or not they want to pay more money to get a lower rate. Whereas I think the competition likes to look at it and say, they know best. And I disagree with them, but I love this because it gives them the ability to not only understand what's happening out there, but it empowers them to make good decisions. And then at the end of the day, it makes you look like a hero for sending your buyers to a lender that's going to be fully transparent with them. Real quick, there's a question that said, what is negative 0.066? So great question, Amanda. At the 2.99%, if we move over, it says negative 0.644. What that basically means is that the consumer can get an interest rate of 2.99% today, and we as a lender will give them a credit towards their closing cost of 0.644%. So in this case, it would be roughly $1,600. So, you know, there's ways that we can set it up where the consumer can pay minimal cost. And again, it's kind of like negative points. I'm willing to take a slightly higher interest rate in order for me to pay less at closing. So I hope that helped. Next slide, please. For those of you who don't have my contact information, here's our team hotline. You can reach us at 409-3393. You can also reach us at cluteteam@fairwaymc.com. So thanks, guys. Have a happy Groundhog's Day and appreciate the opportunity and hope that helped.
Brian, thank you. Guys, one of the things, you know, I had many conversations with agents over the last, you know, couple of weeks around the state of the market, and we'll get into, you know, what the January data tells us. But just using an example, you know, yesterday I had a conversation with Brian Papp, and he was in the car coming back from a showing where, I mean, this isn't the real number, but just think of it like this, that his buyer put in $50,000 over the list price, right? And we were kind of navigating through like, okay, what's he gonna, and they didn't get the offer or they didn't get it accepted, right? And we were going through strategies of like, I mean, you got to be in such a competitive market today, you got to be asking all the right questions and going through your buyer's essentially profile to understand what's going to make them the most attractive, right? And I thought Brian brought up some good questions to making sure that we're asking our buyers to ensure that we're doing everything that we can to put them in a position to succeed. That's the biggest key here, right? With demand as high as it is and interest rates as low as they are our buyers in the right position to succeed when we write the offer? And I think, Brian, great job. Thank you for bringing some of that to the table of helping us think through, are we putting our buyers in the position to succeed in this really competitive market?
Charlie, one quick
Yeah.
thing, if I can add to that, and this is something we've been doing for a while, those of you who have worked with us, when we get a buyer pre-approved, we also feel that it's really going to help the buyer for us as the lender to put a call into the listing agent on a property when an offer is being presented. I mean, for listing agents to get a phone call from a lender in general is challenging. Like you guys know that, but for the listing agent to get a call from us to say, hey, we just wanted to let you know we've fully vetted the buyer, their financing is secure, we're not going to share too much information, but we just want to assure them that we've done our due diligence and that buyer is in fact in good hands and that they will go through and have a successful transaction. So if, you know, again, working with us, that's something that we'll do. If you're not working with us, make sure that the buyers or lender is doing the same thing. It'll help them out. So thanks, Charlie.
Cool. Thanks, Brian. All right. Compliance updates. Joan Reed, we're getting you on team meeting for the first time, sister. Here we go. What do we got with risk factors in today's competitive market? Joan Reed, are we there?
I need to unmute. Thank you. It's good to be on the meeting, and hello to everybody. what Brian was just talking about were some of the strategies that we have in this very competitive market. And so I thought I'd just throw a little compliance warning signs into some of these strategies that we have. As a buyer's agent, and I find that is a very important role, especially in today's market, you can help a buyer write a very strong offer, and we have some strategies that can help it. But along with these strategies, you have to also protect your buyer and make sure that your buyer is not put at risk in certain things. So if you move to the next slide, please. Just quick. These are some of the strategies, obviously, that we know about. Escalation clause. I know a lot of agents have stopped using it because a seller is getting several escalation clause offers on the desk, and it becomes very confusing. But it's still a strategy, and it sometimes still works. Another strategy is few or no contingencies. And again, you're looking at risks for your buyer to give up an appraisal maybe, or to give up an inspection contingency. Asking for closing costs from a seller right now may be not very smart if you're in competition, but financing, whether or not the buyer can go cash or high down payment are some of the things, like Brian was saying, that would reassure a seller that you're going to be an easy buyer. And then I have number 3 is called love letter. And I thought, since we're close to Valentine's Day, we can talk about love letters. It is something that's pretty controversial. A lot of agents, including myself, when I wrote an offer for my son, of course, I had him write a letter because I think he's adorable and I think anybody should have taken him as a buyer. But there are some hidden risks in this love letter concept or strategy. And I'm not saying not to use love letters, because in many cases your buyers definitely want to do that. And as a buyer's agent, you are obligated to obey what your buyers want to do. But you can talk to them about what their love letter reads, how it reads, and whether or not it is something that can be misconstrued or misinterpreted by a seller. The legal update, and I don't know if you ever look at these, but they come out monthly. And this one is from last September 2020. And it's all about multiple offers. And there's a section in there about love letters. And the NRA is, NAR, excuse me. The NAR is actually warning agents to consider the importance of a love letter. Not so much for the buyer's agent and the buyer, because they obviously want to make their offer stand out and say, pick me, because we're the best buyers for your house. But this is more of a caution for the listing agent, and for the listing agent to talk to the seller about maybe considering not looking at love letters. You can put it in the listing contract. You can put it in private remarks saying the seller will not accept additional letters or incentives outside of the offer to purchase. Mainly because accepting a love letter over other buyers with a love letter over other buyers, can be in many times a fair housing violation. A seller can choose maybe an offer that was lower than another offer, but because it suited the profile of a buyer that the sellers wanted, you are actually not choosing a protected class in many cases. And again, now you, the listing agent, and the seller are in a situation where you could be violating fair housing laws. That's what I want to send the message today. You are going to be writing love letters. Make sure your love letter is general, and let your offer speak to the seller. The seller really should only be deciding which buyer based on the terms of the offers, which is arm's length and free of any fair housing potential violations. So with that, as I said, the next slide and the last slide is just basically this warning, and mostly for a listing agent educating a seller that this could be a risk to the seller. So I hope you're good. If anybody wants to talk about this specifically with me, feel free to call me, and we can discuss it.
Perfect. Thank you, Joan, for the heads up, especially in a competitive market and in everything that's going on in the world today. Our job is to help you as agents reduce and mitigate liability, right? And so our message here isn't to tell you not to do them. It's more so to educate yourselves on potential pitfalls or risks associated to some of these practices.
Very true.
So cool. Joni, quick question for you that came up in the chat section. Is it better to present the letter without any identifying information about the buyer?
Yes, I mean, that's what I meant by having the letter be more general. It's just, it could be about things that they liked in the house or things that, struck a chord with them, but not necessarily personal information that could be measured against other buyers.
Cool. Thanks for the follow-up. Awesome. And then one other thing, Kimmy, because I just know you're on and I know I'm putting you on the spot here. Do you want to just quickly touch on the vacant land offer to purchase that is new and required now as it relates to the WRA and contracts?
Yeah, just want to make sure everybody is aware, if you are writing on vacant land or commercial, the WRA released a new WB 13 and a WB 15 offer to purchase. So make sure you're using those. They are in zip form and they'll be in DocuSign in the next week.
Perfect. Thanks, Kimmy. Tell Aubrey good morning.
I will.
Awesome. All right, guys. So before we get into Tech Tuesday, I want to pick your brain on something, right? And as a listing agent, I'm going to give you some context here in a second, but as a listing agent, throw in the chat section, right? What is the responsibility you have to yourself when you take a listing? In question for the group, what is the responsibility you have to yourself when you take a listing? Anybody have an answer in the chat section they want to throw out? No, did I stump you? Value. Not quite, Kristen. Set clear expectations, Brew. Expectations, be honest, be prepared, okay? What is the responsibility you have to yourself? Here's what I would challenge you to think about, right? Here's what I would challenge you to think about. To ensure that your listings have babies, okay? And I'm going to give you context here. Last week, I was asked to host a mastermind for a group of agents all across the country. The group did roughly, it was a group of 20 people, and they did roughly 40 million a year, and the peak was 75 million a year, okay? A group of 40 people. And I found it really, really interesting. One of the agents who was up in the Twin Cities said last year they took 61 listings in their business, and they found they had 8 buyers that they picked up from it. And he thought, he wasn't sure if that was good, bad, or ugly. And I said, well, let me be frank with you, Brad. That's ugly, right? Because your listings aren't having enough babies, right? And in an environment where it's extremely competitive to win the listing, you as the listing agent for yourself, I'm not talking about your fiduciary to your client, I'm talking about your fiduciary and responsibility to yourself and your family, is to ensure that you're organically multiplying your business every time you take a listing. So let's take a look. As a listing agent, right, you have 4 responsibilities that you owe to yourself. Okay. And here's one. Your first job is to secure the listing. Okay. Number 2, your job is to market said listing, right? Secure the listing, you market the listing. 3, your fiduciary responsibility to your client is to sell the listing. 4, you are going to market the sale of the listing, right? If I'm a listing agent, you have 4 simple responsibilities that you have to yourself. Secure the listing, market the listing, sell the listing, market the sale of the listing. And then what you're going to do is you're going to wash and repeat, wash and repeat, wash and repeat, right? But here's the thing, and I picked this up last week when I led this mastermind that was shocking to me. And write this quote down: what you track will ultimately improve. What you track will ultimately improve. And here's what you need to know. All of your listings need to have babies, right? All of your listings need to have babies. So what are you doing right now, knowing that our environment is extremely tight on inventory, that when you secure the listing and you've done your job to secure the listing, you market the listing, you sell the listing, and you market the sale, what are you doing to manufacture organic business in today's environment to help you grow and help you achieve your goals in 2021, right? Are you farming the geography for new listings? And I'll give you an example. There's nobody who sells a home on Daphne other than Martha Ola. I think she sold every single home on Daphne Road, the road she lives on, right? She secures the listing, she markets the listing, she sells the listing, she markets the sale. She owns Daphne up in Fox Point, right? What are you doing to farm the geography in and around your listings that you have success with to secure new listings? 2, how are you securing new buyers, and what strategies in your go-to-market strategy as it relates to your listings are you doing in order for you to secure new buyers to create organic business? And 3, how are you earning your referrals through upholding your fiduciary at the highest level so that your sellers then refer you to new clients, right? There are many other things that you can track, but guys, in an environment that is extremely tight and very competitive, every time you have a listing, you need to be thinking about how you are leveraging and maximizing the potential of the listing, right? And my question to you is, do you have a systematic and process-driven approach to leverage your listing, right? To drive organic business in 2021. So that was kind of my big takeaway from this mastermind that I led last week, was how many agents this guy literally said, yeah, we had a listing, we secured it on Sunday, we went live on Tuesday, it had an accepted offer on Tuesday afternoon, and great, we were on to the next. And I'm sitting there pulling my hair out thinking, oh my gosh, you completely missed an opportunity. You completely missed an opportunity to create organic business for your business, right? So think about that. What you track will ultimately improve. And what are you doing to organically multiply your business to help you achieve your goals? And do you have a systematic and process-driven approach to leverage your listings in order to achieve that? Food for thought on a Tuesday morning to make you think about what you're doing to leverage your listings for your growth. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay and Brad. They're going to go through Tech Tuesdays.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. Yes, that's a perfect setup for what we're going over today during our tech workshop. So today in the North Shore office, 1 o'clock, we are going to be talking about how to advertise your listings in Command. And this doesn't have to be your listing. Even if you're holding an open house for another agent's listing, there are so many opportunities within Command to advertise that listing or that open house. So today in person, downstairs training room at the North Shore office, 1 o'clock. And then the same training is going to take place in Lake Country on Thursday at 11 o'clock after productivity coaching. So specifically, we're going to be talking about landing pages and designs. So those are probably two of the easiest pieces of Command that you can advertise a listing. And with the KWLS, the Keller Williams listing service, your listings are going to automatically get fed into Command so that you can easily pull all the photos, pull all the details, and plug them into a landing page or plug them into an open house flyer within Designs. So landing pages are those awesome standalone web pages that you can share with the public. So whether it's on social media, whether you're sending and texting or emailing a link, these are so easy to create. I would say it takes only a couple of minutes to create it. And it's great for new listings, open houses, like I mentioned, even just brand awareness. If you want to promote to a certain neighborhood, it's a great way to capture leads into your database. And you can also promote your consumer app. So there's so many different ways, but we're going to really focus on advertising that listing. And so I am going to really quickly share my screen, because if you are friends with Brad Yates on Facebook, besides his awesome cinnamon rolls that he gives away, you have probably seen that he does an awesome job of promoting a listing, whether it's his own listing or if it's an open house that he's holding, whether it's a landing page or he's creating a social media post in Designs. He does an awesome job of promoting that listing. So Brad, if you want to hop on and just kind of explain what you created this landing page for, and we've got a couple here. He does 2 different landing pages. So Brad, take it away.
So yeah, and to build on what Charlie was talking about, this having a listing, you know, you got to make the babies, and you know, and it starts with, first thing I always do is I start with a simple landing page, and that landing page is something I'll use in online marketing to share with others. It's got my branded header at the top. It's got the listing right there next below it. Underneath that is a market snap, what's going on in that neighborhood. And then it ends very simply with more information. And that fun part at the end is what pulls or puts their information right here into my command, and command lets me know. Once we get that out there, then we're doing open houses. And I use this same format, but a little different order. For an open house, I start with my branded header. Then I go in and I do that, the lead form, which again, please sign into our open house. It feeds right into my command. It eliminates that step on Monday of uploading everything. Then I go into the listing itself, and then I end with a market snap. What's going on in that neighborhood? And you know, you've got to have those open houses. I mean, and this is great because everything is electronic now. There's no sign-in sheet. There's no data sheets. It's all right there, and you get their phone number right away. So it's really nice. Also,
Hey, Brad.
Marketing.
Brad, it's
Yes.
Jack. Hey, I have a question. So I've used this at an open house and it is fabulous because of what you said. But the question that I've gotten then is about the real estate condition report. Is there a way that we can put the real estate, or do we just print those out still?
You know what? You can put those, you can embed a document into a landing page, Lindsay. And that's through the, there are the blocks, the content blocks that are on in command, and you can put a content block and then put that within there.
Yeah, I believe it has to be an image. So you wouldn't be
Or
able
an
to
image,
add it
yes.
PDF, but I believe you could add an image. So I'm not sure if anyone's done that before, and we'd have to kind of take a look and see how it would get formatted within the landing page, but that's definitely a possible workaround we could try out.
Okay, so it just have to be a picture of the condition report then.
Right.
Is what,
It would.
is what I'm hearing you say. Okay, cool.
Yep.
And then from there, you want to advertise the listing. And this is the, again, all in command, a flyer. And for this listing that we have on Reservoir, a great little condo, by the way, if you're looking for a beautiful downtown 4-level condo, this flyer we created, again, pulls everything from command. And then the best part of it all, once it sells, postcards. These postcards you send out cost 59 cents. 50, and that includes the design, the postage, and you can select what houses this postcard goes to. So you're doing everything from the beginning to the very end. After you sell it, there's that 59-cent postcard, and you know, are letting the neighborhood know. So those are some of the things we're going to talk about today in Tech Tuesday.
Yep, exactly. And so if Charlie, you want to share the slides again, I do have an example of one of the flyers that Brad created for that same listing. So super simple to plug in the photo and the price, the bedroom, bathroom count. Again, that's all something that you can pull in from the KWLS in Designs. So
And
this
that little
template-
paragraph, oh, go ahead, the little paragraph is from MLS. So I didn't have to go out and write something new. I mean, this flyer I, put together in under 10 minutes, and it, even that long. So please know, none of this stuff is hours of pulling your hair out. It's done in under 10 minutes, each one of these little things.
Yep. Yeah, and the templates that they have in there, there's a ton of different templates. And so if you know, this is a great one too, because he's promoting his app as well. So he's got his unique app URL on the right-hand side there. And Brad, is this something that you use for an open house then? Did you print these out?
You can take, here it is. I printed one. It's a flyer. I can mail that out. I can take it and put it in post, you know, I can take it to people's doors, put it in their door. There, it's there. I also can have it as a simple data sheet too. You know, if I want to have it at the house, you know, and somebody says, well, bam. And I'm like, oh, I've got this. And if you want more information, you know, download my app and you can get all that information about the property. And that information about my app is right there on it. So yes.
Yeah, a super simple way to kind of connect all of these pieces together just to promote this one listing. There's so many opportunities within Command to do that. So join
Beautiful.
us today, 1 o'clock or Thursday at 11.
Lindsay, Brad, thank you. Guys, your job is to ensure that when you do all the hard work and that your marketing and your reputation pays off and that you secure the hard-earned listing in this environment, your job that you owe to yourself and to your business is to ensure that your listings have babies. How do you ensure that your listings have babies? Secure the listing, market the listing, sell the listing, market the sale, repeat. Make sure that your listings have babies, and we have plenty of resources in the technology to ensure your success in doing so. Awesome. Lindsay, Brad, thank you guys for jumping on to do that. All right. So one last thing, Lindsay, updates to commissions in Command.
Yes. So if you guys have been in Command submitting for compliance and filling out your commissions, you probably noted that noticed that the offers and the commissions tab has been combined. So just wanted to make a note of this quick change. And so once you have an accepted offer, you'll see that there will be a button that says Manage Commission. That's how you'll get to that commission section instead of clicking on that individual tab for commission. So just wanted to make note of that, that one minor change in case that you're in there and you see that it's a little bit different. But that's it.
Perfect. Thanks, Lindsay. All right, guys, now we're jumping into meat and potatoes, right? What's the market insights and what is the market telling us in January of 2021, right? So I'm going to dig into it. And honestly, I could have gone down a rabbit hole because there was a lot of information. And so I tried to top line it for you. So here we go. Jumping in. Here's our showing time data across the state of Wisconsin here through January 31st of 2021. You can see here, again, buyer demand and showing activity is really, really healthy. It's a little bit behind pace so far of what we saw in January of 2020. To be honest with you, my assessment of that is simply the fact that when inventory is down 33%, there's just fewer homes that people can go out and see. So I don't think this is an indication of demand. I think it's more of an indication of where we are even from an inventory standpoint across the marketplace. So this is not a concerning trend to me by any means. It's simply showing to me that I think it's a function of where we are from a supply standpoint. Okay. Then here we go, jumping in January 2021. This is units sold in the month of January 2021 versus January 2020, this year versus last year. Okay. And when you look at it, January of 2021, there were 1,375 units that closed in the month of January. If you compare that versus last year, I was shocked at this, dead even. It was up, there was flat line, no change. And when you compare this again, I always like giving a 2-year historical average because again, 2019, we all thought, how could we ever beat the 2019 residential real estate market? Well, 2020 happened. And then we're thinking to ourselves, how do we beat 2020? Well, let's see where 2021 goes. So far in the first month, closings were on par with where they were in 2020. That's, to me, on par. It's really solid knowing that, you can't keep a trend of up 40, 50%, knowing when inventory is down 30%. At some point, those numbers are going to give. So to me, this is totally positive for the month of January, that the business was pretty much flat versus last year in terms of closed units. This is a new chart that I'm going to share for you, right? What I want to show you here is there's 2 x-axes and there's 1 y-axis. Whoa, using some stats and high school geometry for you, right? Here we go, digging in. On the left over here is the months of supply of inventory, and this is correlating to the bar graphs, okay? On the right is days on market trends, which is what you're seeing here in the data points. What I use this as a visual because it's a good understanding of where the months of supply inventory looks like comparatively to the days on market. And the reason why I'm using this is, one, you can continue to see that months of supply continues to remain suppressed. And two, if you compare the days on market of just simply January of 2021 versus January of 2020, you can tell over time, days on market, when you compare like 19 versus 20, and then as we head into 2021, days on market are shrinking, right? Again, I use it as a good visual because we all believe that days on market are shrinking, and we all believe that inventory is declining, but this is the factual data, removing the emotion of that you've missed out on 15 offers and that you're just feeling the emotions of the market. This is the truth to the market, and what you're feeling is true. Okay, jumping into it, sales absorption. Again, I use this data because I think sales absorption is one of the key indicators of demand in our market, right? What is sales absorption? Sales absorption is the percentage of inventory that goes under contract in a given month. When we look at it, right, when I give you the weekly data, it's usually like 10 to 12%. Well, then when I look at it from a monthly standpoint, it takes the total inventory that was on the marketplace, and it takes the total minus the total inventory, or divided by, I guess I should say, is those inventory that went under contract. And here's what I want you to understand. In January of 2021, we saw the highest sales absorption rate of 33.3% of the inventory went under contract in 2 years. If you look back going all the way to January of 2019, we never, ever saw rates above 33.3%. Even going back to January of 2019, for those of you who were in the business then, January 2019, the peak was 27.9%, right? The peak in 2019 was 27.9% of sales absorption, right? The peak in 2020 was August. Also, something interesting to note, you can just see how the market shifted from a spring market to more of a summer fall market from 2019 to 2020. The peak in 2020 was 33.1%. in August, and we hit 33.3% in January, right? What does this tell me? Demand is insane. It's the truth. I mean, this is a really good indicator for us moving forward as we look ahead as to what 2021 is going to be, and it's something I'll continue to be paying attention to. Now, units under contract. So this is the future leading metric that leads to future closed production, which also means future income for those of you who have deals under contract. In January of 2021, there were 1,849 units that went under contract. When we compare that versus 2020, it was roughly a 9% increase, and versus 2019, it was a 16% increase. Again, positive momentum as we look ahead to the spring market, knowing that a lot of people are getting deals done in the month of January despite low levels of inventory. And again, all indications of demand remain incredibly strong. So I don't see demand going away anytime soon. Now, this is more of a visual for you. What you see here is the blue graphs are units that are under contract. The green graphs are closed units, okay? So think of it like this. The blue graph is our leading indicator, right? Our leading indicator of future closed business or future income. And our green is a lag indicator based on the units that went under contract. So all I really want you to do is I wanted to provide you from a visual standpoint that what you can see here is units, if you're going back to January of 2020, units outpaced closings from January, February, March, and then it stopped in April, where closings outpaced units under contract for just that 1 month. And then again, May, units under contract outpaced closings. June, units under contract outpaced closings, right? Where I'm getting at is when we look at the units under contract, it tells us where our sales are going to show up about 60 to 90 days later. And then what you can see was if you jump ahead to September, which was the foreshadow or my forecast to where, again, November, December, January, we're headed. You can see September units under contract underpaced sales or closed units. Again, October closed units outpaced units under contract. And so you can see what would naturally happen then as this continues to happen where units under contract are going down, closed units will continue to go down. So here's my story for January 2021. We're in a really good place of a leading indicator that's going to tell us where February, March, and April are headed. Why? Because units under contract are far outpacing closed units in January. So again, what should happen is incomes should then continue to rise in February, March, and April. As we see that, again, this is like simple, dumbed down Cliff Notes version for you of understanding the market and what I look at in terms of a forecasting perspective to help you be proactive in the marketplace to understand where we're headed, because you always want to go to where we're headed, not where we are. Awesome. Jumping into new inventory units in the month of January here. December outpaced of 2020 outpaced December of the prior years. And we see here of January 2021, there were new units of 1,830 units. It was down 17% versus last year and down 21% versus 2019, right? New inventory coming to the market, when I compare this versus the units that went under contract, was down about 19 units. Essentially, across that many units, it was flat. So again, the only way that we're going to solve this is that we have more units that come to the marketplace than are going under contract. And right now that isn't the case. So we will continue to see the inventory issues that we've seen for the foreseeable future because total inventory continues to shrink. Now, looking at total inventory, in January of 2021, there were 5,500 units on the market in January of 2021. For perspective, if you look back, January of last year, there were 8,300. In January of 2019, there were 8,500. This is roughly about a 33% decrease versus prior years. Again, the inventory situation is real. We are all feeling it, right? So that's kind of what's going on from a marketplace. Units going under contract, it's a good indicator. Our sales absorption rates, it's the highest it's ever been in 2 years, and we're sitting here in January. Demand is insane. Supply just continues to be the story as it's been for the last several months. Now let's take a look at how this simple Econ 101 of supply, the pressures of supply and demand are playing as it relates to pricing analysis. So again, as I always look at pricing analysis, I always get up into 3 different segments. We have the below 350 segment, which makes up 72% of the inventory. Okay, below 350,000 in terms of price point makes up 72% of the inventory. So what's going on here? The median sold price in January of this year versus last year was up 12%. Up double digits on pricing is incredible. Up single digits is healthy. Up double digits is stupid when you're comparing it on these numbers, on big numbers. When you look here on a sold per square foot went up 11%, up to on average in the 350 price range to $135 a square foot. And then a new indicator that I'm going to look at in 2021 is what was the sale price to list price ratio. So if you came out essentially saying when the listing agent comes to the marketplace, once the unit closed, what was the ratio in terms of what it came to the marketplace and what it closed at? And last year, 94% list price to sale price ratio. This year, it's at almost 97% list price to sale price ratio. And just so you know, it will almost never be 100. If the market, you'll never be perfect on it. There's too many variables to it. So the fact that the list price to sale price ratio is increasing is no surprise, given that median pricing is increasing and sold price per square foot is increasing in inventory below 350K. Again, it's 72% of the market, guys. Everybody wants to talk about the $1 million listing or the $1 million inventory. It's such a tiny percentage of the inventory. 72% is less than 350. Here we go, jumping into the middle price point, right? 350,000 to 700,000. It's 21% of the total inventory of the marketplace. What does it look like from a pricing perspective? Median price point sold the January of 2021 versus January of 2020 was an increase of 4.5%. That's a healthy number. Again, when 72% of the inventory is growing at a 10% clip, That's where you can see that that is one of the most competitive marketplaces right now, is the below 350. So again, focusing on the 350 to 700, price per square foot dropped slightly from 161 to 154. It's down 4%. This isn't overly concerning to me. There could be some outliers within the data that drove this. So it's not totally concerning to me. And then here, when you look at the sales price to list price ratio, again, things are far more competitive in the marketplace, which is no surprise to me, as we are seeing a 2% increase in sales price to list price ratio within the 350 to 700,000 range. And then here, the final one, 700,000 plus. This is the luxury market across southeastern Wisconsin in the 5-county metro area. It makes up only 7% of the inventory, but many of you I know play in this market. So here's what's going on. Median price point sold was down 1%. Again, the numbers at this scale are so minuscule, down 1%. It really isn't a major impact. Interestingly enough, though, price per square foot jumped actually pretty significantly from 159 of January of last year to 212 over 200 this year of January 2021. That's a 33% increase. That's significant. And then here you can see sale price to list price ratio. Last year was 90%. This year it's 93.4% of an increase of around 2.9%. So you can see here's the pricing analysis metrics. My take on it is this. The below 350 range is going to remain highly competitive, and we're going to continue to see, I believe, double-digit price appreciation in that segment. I think you will see, I think the luxury market is stable, and I think the 350 to 700 range is very stable. You may not see the same price appreciation in those markets, but if I had someone that was considering selling, I wouldn't necessarily worry about the return on their investment in this market. I think it's a very stable market from 350 and above, and I think it's really competitive and appreciating in the 350 and below marketplace. Cool. Amanda Schroeder asked a quick question. I'm curious how luxury breaks down for lake property versus not. It was a hot market for lake houses last year. Totally. Totally agree. Hard for me to decipher because in the data that I look at, I'm only looking at numbers, and the data doesn't tell me whether it's a lake home or not. I just simply look at it. I just simply look at it from a data standpoint. So, all right. And then here, I know many of you like just a total breakdown when we look at all of it across all market, all price points here. You can see the impact on total inventory of what happened January of this year versus last year. Again, the story here is inventory's down. Units that are going under contract are up almost roughly 10%. Units sold were flat in the month. Again, that's a lagging metric. I don't pay much attention to that as it relates to what the future of the industry is going to do. And here's your pricing information across all price points. That pricing, the median price point sold and the price per square foot is increasing almost close to double-digit percentages, again being driven by that 350 and below price point, which makes up 72% of the inventory. So the grocery store script, what's the market of the moment? You run into Sendix and someone says, hey, Ellen DeRoga, tell me what's going on in the real estate market. Or, hey, Mike Schaefer, I'm going to grab a Miller Lite with you. Tell me what's going on with the market of the moment and what is going on. So here's your script. Here's the grocery store script. This is the time of year we begin seeing the market activity ramp up as we head into the spring market, right? January 2021 is in the books. And here's what it's telling us. There's major pent-up demand. And remember, 2020 was a banner year for residential real estate, right? How do we know this? The number of homes going under contract on a weekly basis are already outpacing January of 2020 by 10%. There's already a double-digit increase in homes that are going under contract in January. Current inventory is going under contract at rates faster than we saw in the last 2 years, right? Homes are going under contract at rates faster than we saw in the past 2 years. All of this is happening in spite of historic low levels of inventory. And now here is my caution to you. As a real estate professional in this market, if anything holds the industry back in 2021, it is simply a lack of supply. It is simply a lack of supply. If there's something that will hold the industry back, it is a lack of supply to meet the demands of the market. So there you go. There's the grocery store script, the market of the moment as it comes to January of 2021. 21. And guys, as a reminder, all of these statistics will be sent out to you guys in the follow-up email that Diana and I sent on the KW Insights and Resources weekly email. Awesome. All right, Mandy, I'm turning it over to you to wrap us up with some incredible stuff that we have coming up for these guys in the month of February. So Mandy, I'm turning it over to you.
Great, thanks, Charlie. February already, so a lot of exciting stuff happening. I wanted to close up Ignite. We had our last session yesterday, and we had 73 students participate in this session of Ignite. So a huge thank you to all of the instructors who jumped on to make this happen, as well as you students. I got so much great feedback from all of the instructors that you guys were so engaged, and it was such a wonderful shift to going virtual. So we made it happen. This is the list of people who attended all 12 sessions. So congratulations to you guys. You'll be hearing from a member of the leadership team to see if you're interested in a ticket to Family Reunion. So no need to book them on your own. We'll give you a call, make sure that you're interested, and we'll get you signed up. So thanks for such a great session of Ignite. Then moving over, we're going to talk about Family Reunion. So got a great little video here for you. Great, Family Reunion, it's February, get ready. They released the theme, I'm super excited. The theme of this year's Family Reunion is connection. So everything that they're doing in Family Reunion this year is all about getting you connected to other people across the country. And what they've done is they've added chat rooms. So chat rooms are new, they're both based on topics as well as role-based. So if you're an ISA, if you're an admin, if you're an agent, you can plug into these different chat rooms that are following each of the breakouts to meet people of similar, production levels, roles across the country to then mastermind about what the session is that you just learned. So something I'm super excited about with Family Reunion is, again, all of these are recorded. So if you miss one, you can go back and watch another one. You can see everything. For anyone who was at Family Reunion last year, I think I got kicked out of 3 rooms because they were full. The fire marshals would come in and kick you out of rooms. So it's really actually kind of a great thing to be able to take advantage of just every single chat room and meet people across the country that you can mastermind with who are doing this. So, and not only are there all these other breakouts, but Gary Keller is doing a breakout multiple times a day too. So you can get in smaller rooms with Gary where it used to just be top producers. So I'm super excited about it. They're doing a lot of command workshops, so you can get more involved in command, and they're doing really cool things with scripting contests. So if you're looking for more scripts on calling, lead generating, working on things during COVID still, there was some really great opportunities to learn about some cool scripting that's happening, not just in our market here, but across the entire country. So the theme is connection, get connected with people who are doing this all across the country and doing it really successfully. So February 15th through the 18th. And again, everything's recorded, so you can log back into your portal after and watch anything, again later. So really excited for Family Reunion. Here in the Market Center, you can see there's not a ton because we really want you to plug in on Family Reunion, but there is some great stuff. One thing I'm super excited about is next week, Wednesday, we've had a lot of newer agents wondering how to enter a listing into the MLS. We have Jared from the MLS who's going to be on here talking to our group at 9 a.m. next Wednesday. So do not miss that. I have more details to come about the admin mastermind, but for now, just flag, it's the last Wednesday of the month on the 24th. We should have a special guest speaker joining you guys to lead that. And then of course, family reunion. And then real quick, Amanda, if you want to unmute and let us know what everyone can expect today for launch coaching.
Hey, everybody. So launch today is 10:30 to 11:30. Everyone's welcome. Today we're going to be talking about accountability, which sounds like kind of a bummer, but it's not. It's about people who hold themselves accountable, who acknowledge reality, who are working through problems who are solution-based, and how that makes them so successful. So, accountability is a big piece of what I do in launch, and I hope you can join me. It will be a conversation, so be ready to join in and chat with me, and you'll learn some things too. Thanks, Mandy.
And Janine, what do we have for Thursday?
Well, I'm going to backtrack to last Thursday. We had an incredible home inspector last week, and he went over a home inspection report. So this Thursday, we are going to take a home inspection report, and as a class, we're going to determine how we are going to write that home inspection amendment. So you've got the sale and you wrote a competitive offer, and so now you went through the inspection. Now what? So that's what we're going to go through as a class, and I hope to see everyone there.
Great, thanks guys. And then last thing as it relates to training on the next slide, Charlie, just wanted to remind everyone, we're not only offering trainings at a local level, there's always incredible live streams and webinars that are offered by the KWRI that are all available on Connect Live. We're resending that training schedule. You should have received an email from Megan, Casey, or Julia Ola on Monday. They'll come out every Monday, as well as we'll resend it in the recap email, but tons of other great stuff to plug into there. So lots of great stuff.
That is it. We are January 21 is in the books. We are off and running. February is here. We are focused on you and serving your businesses to ensure your guys' success. Guys, plug in. We have tons of opportunities of resources available to you. And I apologize for a little bit of a longer team meeting today. I always try and respect your times. So Lake Country crew, I'll let you jump off to the Lake Country meetup. North Shore and Tosa crew, I will begin transitioning over to New Listings and Buyer Needs. Cool. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.